Danielle and
Trudy.
Trudy. Nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
Christian.
to meet you.
All right, so I guess we'll dive right in. So how long have you two been in real estate now?
Pretty much the same time, right? We started
Yeah,
around,
like what,
yeah,
two
two
and
and
a
a
half
half
years?
years. Yeah, but we both kind of went full time into real estate like last May.
Yeah.
And what's the relationship? Are you on a team or are you?
So technically at Blue Island, we're all solo agents, but Trudy and I actually met when we were on our old team when we were at a different brokerage. We got really close. We do the Chaos of Closing podcast together. And then we both made the jump to Blue Island Homes together. So I guess like business partners.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I always say we're like business partners and
Yeah.
best friends. It's not like
Mhm.
an official thing, but we team up on
Yeah, yeah,
things.
exactly.
Right. So it sounds like you switched brokerages together.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Okay. Do you want to talk about that or no?
Um,
You don't have to if you don't
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
no, it's just, you know what? It wasn't a good fit for us,
yeah.
and Blue Island Homes was a much better fit for us,
Mhm.
and our businesses have been thriving since we've
Yeah.
left, and we
Nice.
Just
won't
align
look
more.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great. It was a good
and I
move.
always know that the first year is pretty much always the hardest. So tell us about your first year. How did that first year go? Because the first year is usually the hardest.
Yeah, I feel like for us too, it's a little bit different because our first year, technically, we were still also at like full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So I guess the stress of real estate, at least for me, I'm sure Trudy can agree, didn't really hit as hard. I would say it didn't hit as hard until we were both like full-time.
Yeah, like once we left our like full-time careers
Mhm.
and we were doing real estate full-time, that's when I was like, holy shit, like this
Yeah.
is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Because obviously we were so used to living off of a salary and like
Mhm.
guaranteed income, and then we went from like six-figure careers to,
Zero.
yeah.
Especially to like what we were saying, it's like when you are working a full-time job and let's say you do a couple deals a year, it's like, wow, this is great. So you figure if that's what I could do full-time, imagine what I could do when I'm like full-time real estate. And
Yeah.
then you kind of see it's not really the case.
Hmm.
Yeah, reality sinks in because real
Yeah.
estate is a very tough job. Like some people have to go 1 or even 2 years even before their first closing. So it's a very
Yeah.
tough job. So what did you do before?
So I worked for Microsoft. I did their data and analytical work.
And I was an executive assistant for a real estate broker, so I was kind of in the field already.
Oh, so you already were somewhat familiar with the field, and then you
Yeah.
figured, well, I already sold some homes, so let's just switch over and do this full time. And yeah, it's very tough, But I'm surprised, to even sell homes part time is incredible. How did you find those clients to sell part time?
I for me it was shockingly like my sphere, but it wasn't
Mhm.
even me necessarily reaching out. It just happened to be like amazing people. Like one of my clients, it was my brother's best friend's cousin, and it was just kind of like a word of mouth. I guess they were looking. My brother's friend was like, "Oh, Tom's sister is a real estate agent." So honestly, it was kind of just a leap of faith, I guess, that they took.
Yes, right. So yeah, because the first year tends to be people you know. It tends to be
Yeah.
Mhm.
fear. Some people do a lot of cold calling. Do you guys do a lot of like cold calling and door knocking or?
We definitely
Yeah.
used to. At our old company, we did that very heavily. Just because I felt like at the time we didn't
Mhm.
really have as big of a sphere. Like
Yeah.
now, since we're at Blue Island, we're able to do a lot more open houses because they have like an established business and they have, volume going on. So thankfully, we're able to like feed off of that. So now I feel like we've definitely have taken a
Mhm.
step back with
Yeah.
cold calling. But it's definitely something we still implement. I always think like old school methods,
Yeah.
they never die. Like it's always a good thing to do.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, even in the summer, Trudy and I pretty much, what, 2 or 3 days a week, every
yeah,
single week, we were making new graphics for flyers. We were literally door knocking, talking to a lot of people. But, especially for us, we kind of took a step back because we were investing a lot of time and sometimes like money if we were doing like giveaways with
yeah,
the flyers, but like we really didn't get much out of it. So we kind of reframed our,
shifted.
yeah.
So how do you find most of your leads today?
Honestly, like, what would you say? Like open
I was
houses
gonna
or
say open
like, yeah.
houses. Like I would say right now, 90% of my pipeline is from doing open houses like
Mhm.
at our brokerage now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way, because I'm not gonna lie, like I hate cold calling, and I definitely
Yeah,
Yeah, so do
not.
same.
So, like finding it through open houses is actually a less annoying method to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
to find new leads, because they at least they come to you and then you
Yeah,
maybe
yes,
they're looking. Yeah.
yeah
exactly.
they're
Like you're
looking
already
and
like halfway there.
Yeah.
They clearly are in the market usually to some
Yeah.
extent. So it makes, the awkwardness
Yeah, yeah.
a
Not
little bit less.
yeah.
Well, it's always nice when, the lead comes to you as opposed to you
Yeah.
having to go out and call and door knock
100%.
and all that. That's always nice, and I'm sure you get leads through social media too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually the deal that I closed like earlier this year, I was telling Trudy, it just so happened like one day I got a random phone call and super nice guy and he's like, "Oh, I found you on social media." And when I saw in my inboxes, I didn't even see that he like messaged me and we closed the deal and that was like really cool.
And
Yeah.
was that through Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell, it's always really interesting to me. I always tell realtors you have to check your inbox, have to check your
Yeah.
DM. Like, yeah, it might be some random guy hitting on you, but you never know. Like, it might be a closing.
Or
So
even in like the hidden tab, sometimes I don't check
Yeah.
that.
Or
Yeah.
like
yeah.
my requests.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the request if you're not connected already. Yeah. So
Yeah.
everyone you got to check that. So walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? What kind of coffee or tea? Walk us through a normal day. You could do
You
one
want
at
to start with
one
yours?
at a time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll start. So I try to wake up around like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I get my day ready. Sometimes I'll go for a walk. Then I usually walk my dog.
Nice.
Once I do that, I start getting all of my stuff together for the day. Iced coffee always. I'm bad. I
Yeah.
usually skip breakfast, which I'm trying to be better at.
From where, Duncan?
Um, but sorry, what was that?
From Duncan?
Um, it depends. Sometimes I'm like a Starbucks girl. I do love the holiday
I
drinks
feel
from
like you go to like
Starbucks.
your local
I
cafe.
do. I love the Babylon Bean. I live in Babylon, so I love
Oh,
like my local little coffee shop because it's cheap. It's $4 for an iced coffee, so I don't feel like terrible about it.
Yeah.
So I usually go get an iced coffee. And then I make my way to the office. I'm also the office manager here at Blue Island Homes, so I try to get in around like 9:30, 10 every day, and I get the office situated, and then I'm off on my day. What about you,
anything else?
Jenny?
So I try to wake up by like 6:37 and go to the gym before I go to work. I'm guilty. I've been slacking a little bit, but
Me too.
usually that's my routine. Then I come home, I eat breakfast. I bought the iced coffee that you have at home. And I bought like the plastic cups to put it in so I feel like I went to the store.
Hey, you save a
You
lot of money that way
know,
and time.
you gotta save, especially in this industry. So
Yep.
I do that. And then same as Trudy, I usually get here by like 10. I'm also in charge of recruitment and event planning here. So pretty much the morning I take those few hours to just see like any events that we could be a part of. If we're part of any events, I kind of finalize that, call some people. But then yeah, then it's kind of like whatever comes our
Yeah,
way
I feel
that
like the first
day.
half of the day we
Yeah.
usually allocate to like office work, things that need to be done
Yeah.
here. And then like follow-ups. And then second half of the day, usually around like 1, 2 o'clock, then we'll start doing cold calling if we're gonna cold call. We'll film the podcast,
Yeah.
we'll do
Yeah.
like any of the stuff for like our business,
Yeah.
like the second half of the
Like
day.
today, we're filming our podcast later at 3.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Do you have a guest or?
yes, we do have a guest. He actually also works at our brokerage. His name is Ron. He also was on our old team and made the jump as well with us here.
And you guys have an actual like real studio, right?
So it's not ours. We have a photographer that we work with, Mandalay Media, and he kind of built his own like studio room, so we rent out the space.
Oh, not wow. So that must be expensive. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have like an actual space as opposed to Zoom, because
Yeah.
and I'm sure you have like professional cameras and all that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it is like a really
Yeah,
nice
that's what
setup.
we say. Like our office is so nice, but it's just as you can tell, like I was letting you know earlier, like my broker's in here, like everyone's always in and out of the office, and it's kind of a small space, so sound travels heavily. So
Yeah,
we
and
can't really
our office is
hear.
very beautiful. It's very
Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing, but it is all glass, so
Yeah, you hear
you can hear
everything.
everything,
Yeah.
see everything. So it's very difficult to like get time to
Yeah.
yourself.
Maybe you can cover the glass though.
Maybe. Definitely something we'll look into for next season.
Trudy, you told me that you were the office manager. Tell me about that. What is that like being the office manager?
Oh gosh, it is very chaotic some
Yeah.
days. I love it here. I love everybody. But it's difficult sometimes, to balance things that the office needs, things that I need to do because I'm also an agent myself. So I'm taking care of everybody else's stuff and the office's needs. I'm stocking paper, filling the printer, I'm doing deal sheets, I'm doing commission invoices, I'm doing the files, I'm doing a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard. Some days I feel like I don't have a second to like breathe for
Yeah.
myself, but I
Her
love
phone is always blowing up.
always Danny always makes fun of me because I'll like literally leave. We try to go for like a walk around the block for like twice a day, get
Yeah.
some fresh air, get our steps in. I bring my phone with me. I'm not even kidding. It's like a 5 minute walk.
Yeah.
I'll have like the whole entire time I'm on the phone. Like
Yeah.
this one's calling me, that one's calling me,
Yeah.
this, that.
It's like funny
chaotic,
because Trudy's the office manager, but it's like any little problem someone has, it's like, oh, that should be a problem that you go to our broker for. Like they'll call Trudy, and I'm like, how would Trudy know? Like what?
yeah, but listen, I love it. I thrive in the
Yeah.
chaos, I think, and I'm used to it. So
You thrive. Yeah, some people just thrive in chaos and even work better in chaos. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people, have the mentality of, oh, well, I don't really want to bother the broker, so maybe
Yeah.
go to the office manager. How is your broker? Tell me about your broker. How are they?
They're
they're
the
the
best.
best.
Yeah. We literally say we're like they are the best, and we're very honest. We would tell you if we were like never. They're just so helpful. They're even as successful as they are, they're here every day in the office. They will take hours out of their day just to like help you run comps or
Yeah.
go on listing presentations with you. They're
Yeah.
always here with any problem you have. There's always a solution. They have like a plethora of contacts that
Mm.
they can help assist you with. So we really could not have asked for two
Yeah,
better
no,
people.
I agree. Like anything you need, like I know there's people out there,
Mhm.
if they're listening to this, they're scared of their broker. You should
Yeah.
never be scared of your
Yeah.
broker to
Yes.
go and ask a
Yeah.
question. Like I'll walk right into Mark and Jenny's office, like,
Yeah.
please help me. I need help saving this deal, or I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. Like, how do you read this survey or any question imaginable? I think we've all asked them and
Mhm.
they always figure it out and help us. So they really are like the best.
Yeah, they are.
That's a really good point. Yeah, if you're intimidated by your broker, you should probably just switch brokerages because
Totally.
because
You
your
should.
broker, no matter whether you're a new or whether you're a senior, you need to ask them questions. You need to talk to them on a regular basis. So yeah, that's a really good point. That you cannot be in a brokerage where you're intimidated by your broker. They should be friendly. They should have an open door policy, right? No
Yeah.
matter how many agents they have. My broker has. I don't know if you know Richard Raspuntini. He has like 180 agents, but he has the
Uh,
open door policy, which every broker needs to have. So how many agents are under your broker?
what do we have like
I
20
think
something?
right now we have like 26-ish.
Yeah.
We are growing very, very quickly. And we will be expanding. So that's super
Yeah.
exciting. So we're small, but we really are like a big family. And just because
Yeah.
we're small does not mean we don't do numbers.
Yeah, no.
We
Our numbers, I think what was it? We were ranked like 3 or 5 for top brokerages like in this area. And it's like
Wow.
you hear that and it's crazy, but then like you see who's ahead of us, and it's like a signature who has triple the agents that
Yeah.
we do. A Douglas Elliman has triple the agents. So it's like for us to be top 5 and we're actually a luxury boutique agency is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
ratio proportion wise, you might actually be like number one since you're
A
saying
hundred percent. Yeah.
pretty big numbers. Yeah, so proportion wise, you're probably higher than five. So
Right.
and I grew up in Bayshore, by the way, so I know
Okay.
Avalon. Some
Suffolk gang,
I'm a
635.
national girl.
and you guys work all of New York, right?
Yes. Yeah,
So
we have like for example, Ron just closed a deal in Brooklyn. We have
oh
a listing in Astoria.
We have land in the Hamptons.
Yeah,
So we are
we're all
all
over.
over.
Yeah.
that's interesting because a lot of people in Suffolk they're scared of that drive to go all the way to Brooklyn, all the way to the Bronx because that is a very long drive. So, but I mean, money is money, right? If it's worth it, then
Yeah.
the,
And that's why
obviously,
it's nice. Like everyone here all lives in different places. So like for example, like Trudy's in Suffolk. So like she's kind of like the go-to Suffolk expert. Like Ron's not afraid to go to like Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, like where some agents are like, I'm not driving that. So
Yeah.
it's nice.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it all matters if it's worth it. Like, would
Yeah.
I go for a rental? Probably not. But would I
Right.
go
Yeah.
Right.
for a $2 million home? Yeah, I'm driving there.
Yeah.
It,
100%.
it
Yeah.
all
If you're
depends
not
on
driving for a $2 million home to Brooklyn, something's wrong.
Yeah.
right, right. And that's the thing. Like, there are some people who are like that, and they're really scared of that drive. So what is your favorite thing about being a realtor? You could do one at a time. What's your favorite thing?
You want to go?
Yeah, I would say my favorite thing is really just helping people, as corny as it sounds. I know everybody says that,
Mhm.
but it really is the truth. There's nothing more rewarding, I think, than being part of someone's biggest purchase
Mhm.
or sale in, probably their life.
Yes.
And just knowing that people truly trust me fully to get the job done really is just so gratifying and
Yeah.
means more to me than anything. So I think that's like my favorite part.
Yeah. to piggyback off Trudy, kind of similar, but I think for me, I don't know why, I seem to always have the clients who are about to deliver or
Yeah, like
pregnant.
what?
So for me, I think that is super rewarding because it's like, obviously in this like market, there's no inventory, so there's stress, but then finding that home and then seeing like those send me pictures what they do with their nursery. And it's always, for some reason, all my clients always also deliver early. So it's like, oh my God, we're supposed to close and you're giving birth now. But so that's like really cool to see. Wait one
Sorry,
second. We have our
yeah.
social media manager. I have to let her in.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry, we had like an incident one time, so we have to keep the door locked now.
So I'm assuming that you're in the office right now.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
And how big is that office?
I would probably say, I don't know, a couple hundred square feet. It's in
Yeah.
like a strip mall.
Yeah.
It's
Like we
small,
have,
but
you
it's
walk
beautiful.
in, you have like our conference room, which is what we're in, and then if you go back, there's like a bunch of desks and like cubicles, and then there's three offices. So
It's almost
yeah,
like our broker Mark says, it's almost like one giant great room. Like it's very
yeah.
open. We have like beautiful glass partitions on one side with like offices, and then we
Hmm.
have like a communal area with like cubicles almost for everybody. We have like a
Yeah,
beautiful couch over here, a
yeah,
beautiful Christmas tree and
yeah.
everything.
Sounds nice.
So it's nice. It really is like we are one big family. It does
Yeah,
feel like we're all hanging out in like a giant living room.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a comfortable spot. So
It is.
obviously, in today's day and age, pretty much everything could be done online, through Zoom or through email. So I'm sure that there are some agents who might not even come into the office very much.
Correct. And we also do have a lot of agents who this is not their full-time career, but they still put up the numbers like a full-time agent. But yeah.
So what inspires the agents to come in, when, because I'm not gonna lie, like I barely ever go to my office. I get
Mhm.
it from home and everything's online over the phone.
Yeah.
So what even inspires the agents to come into the office when everything is cyber now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say honestly, like the environment and the
Yeah.
culture we have here at Blue Island Homes, everybody here is super supportive. So when I hear, Jenny or Mark or Jonathan or Danny and Ron, whoever talking about like their wins, it makes me want to come in and be part of that.
Mhm.
And everyone here is just so supportive. And it's always like I said, like it's all like we're
Mhm.
hanging out a lot of
Yeah.
the time. Like, yeah, we're working and maybe sometimes we should be a little bit more productive. But we really are like one giant family, and who
Yeah.
doesn't want to be with their family every single day? Like I love getting up and coming here every day.
Yeah.
It never feels like, oh, like I'm going to work. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see everybody. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
good day.
And it's genuinely like cozy. Like Trudy said, it's cozy in here. Like we have the couch, we have the Christmas tree. So it feels like you're just going to a friend's house. They did such a great job. It's like, I know for us, when we were at our old brokerage where we would go to make calls, it literally was like a Panera.
Yeah,
It
that's what
was
we said.
like orange walls, yellow walls, brown, like
Very corporate, very
very.
cold.
It was
Like,
just like we hated going every day, but this is just so warm and cozy and inviting that you genuinely want to be here.
yeah,
Yeah, so now it all makes sense because now it sounds like you went from like a kind of like Wall Streety, like
Yeah.
yeah,
corporate
yeah,
environment to a more warm and friendly
Yeah.
environment. And it's such a relief, and it really changes like your inner peace when you go from like a job
Yeah.
that you don't like to a job that you like, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because both were real estate, but one is just a lot more warm and cozy and friendly. And
Right.
it sounds, yeah, it sounds like you're basically hanging out. And I was gonna ask, like, there has to be some like a little bit of the distracting going on,
Yeah, no, there
100%.
we always say that we laugh because we all love to talk with each other, but like sometimes like Trudy's really busy or I'm really busy, and then other people in the office like come and they like want to hold a conversation and we're like, I love you, but like trying to get
I
this
know. I'm like, you
done.
guys see me running back and
Yeah.
forth to the copy machine. You see, I'm like on the phone with five different people. Like, I love you, but like, please just give me a
Yeah.
sec.
right? And I'm sure it's not like all 25 people coming in. It's like some
No,
No.
time
I
spread
would
out.
say on it. Okay, it's usually like one, two, three, four, probably like maybe like 10 people
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah, there's like a core 10 people that either are always here every day or pretty much every day.
Yeah, who's like not staff.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So it sounds like it sounds like a perfect number because you don't want too many people, otherwise it's too many
Right.
distractions. So that sounds like a really good, solid number of coworkers. And I just want to get back to your point where you said that you don't wake up in the morning like feeling like you're dragging yourself to work. That's really, really important to me, and that's actually my favorite thing about being a realtor is like just the freedom and
Yeah.
the not having to wake up at 5 6 a.m. and just like not having that feeling, because I was a school safety officer for 10 years. So just not
Wow.
having that feeling of like just dragging yourself to work.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
It's a dreadful feeling. And I feel like if you haven't lived through that before, people don't understand. But, coming from a place where I didn't really love where I was and coming from an environment that was definitely toxic and not healthy, it makes it like so unenjoyable. It makes you
Yeah.
not want to work.
Yeah, it makes you not want to work. It often leads to less
Yeah.
production, you being less productive, less money, and it sounds like you guys have a very positive environment. And like you said before, the encouragement aspect is really important, because the thing about real estate is a type of job that kicks you down a lot. Like you
Yeah.
have a lot of flakers, a lot of buyers who flake, a lot of sellers who flake, some nasty brokers, some nasty coworkers, also like nasty listing agents, like a lot of nasty agents and nasty clients. And I feel like this is the type of job where it is really important to have someone in your corner and someone encouraging you, and multiple people even, because it's a tough job. It's a very lonely road, and
Yeah.
it can get really, really like just devastating.
Yeah, definitely can
We've
be.
been down
Yeah.
bad before, and we're like not scared to admit it. That's
Yeah.
why we started the podcast, because we were down like pretty bad. It's a terrible market. We're
Hmm.
newbies. We weren't really under the best direction, and we felt very, very lost.
Yeah.
And, it's comforting, when you have someone going through it with you who
Yeah.
can relate to it, so you don't feel like you're struggling by
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, because that's a crappy feeling. And like we said before, some brokers aren't really willing to help. And so are you guys all individual agents, or do you have like a team with split commissions?
No, so that's what we also love about here is we basically operate as a team in the sense like everyone's here to help each other. Like if I had a question, or say I want to bring Trudy with me on something for her help, or vice versa, or if Jonathan wants to help me run comps, but we're not a team in the sense like you don't get that team split on top of your brokerage split. I mean, obviously if Trudy and I want to team up 50-50,
Yeah,
then
that we could,
we're going to
but
split it 50-50, but we're not going to get a team split on top of a brokerage
yeah,
split, which is like huge for us.
yeah.
Right. So it sounds like you work together, but you're not splitting commissions.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a collaborative
Mhm.
environment, and we're always like, let's go team, but there is no like Blue Island Homes team
Yeah.
or Danielle Trudy team.
Yeah.
We're all independent agents, but we all work together.
Right.
So that sounds like a really, like, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Or
You're helping each other, but at the same time, you don't got to split that commission because we got bills to
Yeah.
pay. So it kind of sounds like so do you think that what do you think would happen if you did, like, let's say that you switched over to that sort of model. Let's say you switched over to that model where you were all splitting commissions and you weren't independent, and you were splitting 10, 20 different ways. Do you think that would work very well, or not really?
I mean, we lived it at our old brokerage. Like we had a team split and then we had the split with our brokerage. So it's like, you could get a $20,000 commission check and you're probably walking with like 8,000.
yeah, with half, it's basically cut in half.
It
And
is, yeah.
and to speak on that, I feel like when you're like basically double dipping, when it's
Yeah.
like a team and like an office split, there's also, I feel like it could get very I don't know the word I'm looking for, but maybe like resentful, like because one
Yeah.
person really is doing more of the work, obviously the
Yeah.
agent who's on the deal, and then somebody else who's not doing anything or not being helpful is still
Yeah.
profiting off of that. So,
Yeah.
resentment can come,
Yeah.
and it happens, and I
Yeah.
just don't really feel like it's a good
It's
model.
not.
For some people it
Right.
might work, but for us,
Especially like for us, like this is our full-time job. So it's like, especially if you're not bringing in deals consistently and it's like I could have a $20,000 commission check or an $8,000 commission check. Like that's a huge difference,
Of
yeah.
course. Well, it would benefit the lazy agents who didn't do much.
Exactly.
It would hurt the harder working agents. It kind of reminds me of like in high school and college when you would do the
Yeah,
group
the
work, and then
project.
that lazy student would like get like half the credit, or 20%, whatever.
Yeah,
And then even though they didn't do anything, and then everyone would split the credit.
I
It kind of
hate
reminds me
Exactly.
of
So
that.
that.
that's
So,
exactly like how it feels
Yeah.
sometimes. So I think structure works. Listen, if it works for you, it works for
Yeah.
you. And, I definitely think maybe in the beginning when you need a little bit more guidance and
100%.
support, a team might be beneficial. But,
Yeah.
once you kind of know what you're doing, then there's probably no reason for you to need a team.
Right.
But some people like the team. So
Right.
it's whatever works for you.
And I'm really glad that you found like a situation that you like, because some people go, you said 2.5 years. Some people go way longer than that in a brokerage that they don't like, and they stay miserable. And that's the thing about brokerages. Like, obviously, you can't join every single one. So it's kind of like it's kind of a sad situation because you kind of have to just take what you know and what you hear and like just go with it. Like so for example, I've been with HomeSmart my since the beginning of my career.
Oh.
And it's the bad they're good, but the bad part is that I don't know what it's like to be in other brokerages, and obviously
Yeah.
you can't be in every single one, so it's like you kind of just have to take an educated guess sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for us when we were at our old brokerage, we knew for kind of some time that things weren't working out, and we always said we're giving ourselves until June 1st. And then things kind of escalated quicker. We ended up at Blue Island Homes in February. But between that time, like Trudy interviewed other places, I interviewed other places.
Yeah.
I did a deal with our broker owner last year, which is how I met Jenny. And then, brought like Trudy, Ron, and everything on, and we all kind of just clicked. It wasn't like oh, I'm going here, Trudy, like you have to come
Yeah,
here.
no, it was always like, listen, that's where you want to go, that's where you
Right.
want to go. I met with Jenny and Mark. I ended up loving it. I still, even after I met with them, I met with a couple of other
Yeah.
brokers as well, just because I kind of wanted to make sure I had like, I had done my due diligence
Yeah.
and seen what other places had to offer and see what really felt like a good fit because we were kind of in a
Yeah.
time crunch. I basically had 72 hours to like hang my license elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God, I really need to like figure it out, but I'm glad it worked
Yeah,
out the way it did.
definitely.
Yeah, and these brokers have to realize like if you don't set that warm and friendly environment, that the agent is just going to switch to the next place. So
Yeah.
I think that a lot of brokers need to realize that, because a lot of brokers aren't so friendly, and luckily mine is, but some aren't, and they need to realize that there's always that next broker. Like I've already had I haven't even been in the job very long, and I've already had like three different brokers try to take me.
Yeah.
So there's always that next broker, and it's funny.
Right.
The way that I look at it is during that interview, right? When you meet the broker, I feel like it's more of the agent interviewing the broker rather than
Yeah.
the broker interviewing the agent, because the agent can go anywhere, you know.
Exactly.
So no matter what, the broker's gonna make money off the agent. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
like it's
course.
kind of like a reverse interview in a way. So I have an interesting question. What is your least favorite thing about being a realtor?
Probably similar, like what the most favorite is. My least favorite is also like the people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because like Trudy said, when you have the great people, it's amazing, the people that are thankful, but there are so many horrible people, especially being in New York. No one's friendly. To your point, like you were saying, a lot of the like agents, I know from my experience, I'm not knocking anyone, but I tend to find the older agents who have been in the business for some time, they're very belittling. Obviously Trudy and I are young. We look younger than we are. Um, so a lot of people think that we're like 18 or 19, which is not the case, but the way they speak to you, and I'm just like, my favorite is when they say, well, I've been a real estate agent longer than you've been alive, but that's not my problem. I didn't tell my mom to have me in 1996.
I've
Like, I'm
never heard that.
sorry. So for me, I can't stand that. I'm a very big respect person, but I don't think that like you deserve respect just because you're older than me. Like respect is a
A
two-way
mutual
street.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Right, like
I
go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, I was saying I agree. I always say the best part when people ask me the best
Yeah.
part about real estate, it's the people. The worst part, the people. Same
Yeah.
thing as Danielle. It's, you're dealing with people who are ignorant, who are uneducated, and they might not be uneducated, the uneducation might not be their fault if
Yeah.
they're like a client. But if you're an agent or someone in the industry, you most definitely
Yeah.
should be educated. So I think dealing with people who are just ignorant and just rude and disrespectful and definitely I feel like speak down to
Yeah.
us because of our age. Even if I was 22, that doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing. I
Right.
could know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I respect you for being in the business for 30 years, but also like,
I'm sorry, I haven't been
yeah,
alive for
like
that
sorry,
long.
like I don't know what to tell
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I have a lot to say about this topic, because there might even be some jealousy involved.
Yeah.
And, like I'm also wondering like how much of it is actually due to your age, because I feel like there's disrespect in every single direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see like some of the older agents like basically viewing you as a kid, because you look very young, both of you, and
Yeah.
there might even sometimes be a little bit of chauvinism in there. That could be the case too. So but I always say the same thing, which is their nastiness. has to affect their business. Like there's no way their nastiness doesn't hurt their business. And like it's always I think it also comes down to like them viewing other realtors as competition, because
Yeah.
like a lot of realtors have that perspective of, oh, they're competition, and I've dealt with it myself. So do you view other realtors as competition?
No, I think there's enough business to go around for everyone. I think we can all grow together. Like Trina and I have made such amazing relationships with agents outside of Blue Island Homes that,
Yeah.
if they had a listing or we had a listing, like absolutely would try to work with them to get the
Yeah.
deal done. I don't compete with my friends.
Yeah, no, me neither. I truly believe like teamwork makes the dream work. If we're working together or trying to make a deal happen, like, why are you screaming at me?
Yeah.
Like, we both want to get paid. I want to get paid. I want
Right.
you to get paid. We all have the same end goal. So why not work together? There's no reason to be nasty and belittle us.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get to the closing table, get our checks,
Yeah.
and keep it moving.
Yeah, I mean, I can already tell that you two are like two of the friendlier agents, because
Yeah, yeah, we really are. You know what? We
yeah.
both dealt with people who have been on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I always vowed to never be like that. Like, to my core and to Danielle's core, it's just not who we are as people. We're very laid back, we're very
Yeah.
chill, like we're here to have a good time and do our thing, keep our head down, make our money, and move on. But yeah, no, I could never act that way. There's no job or anything in this
No.
world that's gonna make me like act out of pocket like that. It's just absurd. There's no need for it.
No.
It really is absurd in so many different ways, and to please stay that nice agent,
Yes, we
because
will.
I always tell that to myself. And like I could talk about this topic for a long time, because not
We'll do
only
it.
are they rude, but it also hurts the business. So it's like there's so many different reasons to be a courteous person, and
Yeah.
they'll get what they deserve. But let me not get too frustrated. Tell me about one unforgettable experience you've had in your career.
One, like good or bad, or just
Either one, either one.
Unforgettable. Oh God. There's so many. I always usually revert back to like my one with Laura. That was like a good memory.
Laura?
Yeah, like when I was
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Um, back at like a previous company like, many moons ago, my broker, whatever, had like a listing, and the woman was selling her late mother's house. It was a very emotional process for her.
Mhm.
And I think just being able to support her throughout that, and knowing how much gratitude she felt for me for helping her through that. It was such a painful experience for her. We still keep in touch, and I just think being part of that pivotal moment in her life was really like impactful for me. And she's still a great friend of mine. Laura, if you're watching this, I love you. She's the best. We keep in touch. I know her, she just had grandbabies, and life
Nice.
is good for her. So it's nice being able to like really become friends with people too, like
Yeah.
after the fact. Like it wasn't just a transactional thing. Like I really care about her as a person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, kind of what I was saying before, how I always seem to have the people that are having babies.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a few, but honestly, my client that I had that I did the deal with, Jenny, before I was at Blue Island Homes, such an amazing couple. I met them when I was selling my brother's house. They came into the open house.
Mhm.
I was working with them, and honestly, I feel like what was the coolest part is they always said like we worked with a bunch of agents, but you were the only person that was not salesy. Like you genuinely were not trying to just get a check, try to rush us into a home. We looked for months. Finally, the house that they ended up buying, that was the only house that they were like, I love it. And then it's really cool now because they have their son in it. They're having another baby. So it's just cool to see how they're
Yeah.
growing.
We see them
memories.
around town
We're
too.
like
So
best
like
friends. Like I love them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's always nice when a client becomes a friend. And
yeah.
like that I want to go back to one thing that you said before, which is that you didn't come across as salesy, because a lot of it's sometimes it can be really hard to sell yourself without sounding salesy. So how do you do that? How do you sell yourself without sounding salesy?
My biggest thing is I'm like, at the end of the day, like I'm not the one buying the house. Like I don't have to live in it. So it's really, I can't want it more than you want it. So at the end of the day, it's what's best for you. And I just approach it as like a friendship. I was always the type, I don't like to take advantage of people. I would never be that way. I'm always the first, I would tell my client like, hey, this is not good for you. This is not going to work out. This is too expensive. This is, going to put you in a bad spot. So I always just approach this like a friendship, like what's best for you and your needs. I'm not living in it. Like, so doesn't matter to me.
Right. Because, I've even been told myself like that I need to calm down with a nice guy approach. Because, every client I meet, I try to be as friendly and as nice as possible. And, even today, like sometimes I wonder, like, am I too nice? Do I need to be more assertive? And, there were times when I had to be a little bit
Yeah.
assertive with clients. So, how do you feel about like, because the vibes that I'm getting are you're kind of like me, like you kind of try to be as friendly as possible. So,
Yeah,
do you feel like, there are clients that maybe take advantage of your kindness sometimes?
I think so.
Of
For both of
course.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think touching on like your last part, I think keeping it real is the most important. Like we're both very honest people. I'm not trying to like I don't look at people as like
Mhm.
a check. Like I'm like, okay, this is their biggest
Yeah, yeah.
investment. And I always say like you need to be comfortable throughout the whole entire process. I definitely think that we are very kind people and I do
Yeah.
usually overextend.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like my kindness is my biggest weakness
Yeah.
sometimes because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do let people take advantage of me.
yeah,
But I feel like at the end of the day, I am able to sleep at night knowing I did
Yeah.
everything I could. And, I'll never regret being nice and overextending
Yeah, yeah.
myself. So that's how I view it. But I definitely do think sometimes, you do in this business, especially have to like have a good gauge of both.
Yeah.
Like you have to know when to be like, hey, I'm wasting time, I'm wasting money, I'm wasting energy on this, and it's got to stop.
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because we have the. I feel like if there's one job where there's wasted time and energy, it's real estate.
Yeah, for
Yeah. Oh,
sure.
yeah.
We don't get paid by the hour. We don't get paid by the day. We get paid by the closing. And there's a lot of, window shoppers and
Yeah.
buyers who aren't serious and sellers who aren't serious. So to me, very important question. How do you filter your clients?
I think in the beginning it was definitely tough because I was just so willing to work with anyone, even
Yeah.
if they're like, oh, I have a pre-approval for like 350 and I'm looking in Nassau and I'm like, all right, like let's see what we could find. And it's like that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I think now we kind of know what hard-hitting questions to ask. We always like hop on the phone or a Zoom call with them so that we can
Yeah.
kind of get like
Ooh.
a face-to-face interaction. And I know for both Trudy and myself, we always set realistic expectations like maybe someone's budget is like 600,000 and they're looking, for example, in Merrick, and I'm from Merrick, so I'm like, look, we can exhaust our options and look, but like it's probably going to be
Yeah.
unrealistic, just
Yeah.
always being honest with them. So I think that's how we kind of start to filter them. And I think I realized too for myself, the client that I kept having to follow up with or whatever. I just stopped because I'm not wasting my time and like begging you to buy a house. Like you came to me for help. If you're not willing to do your part of the bargain, then I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a Zoom call beforehand is actually a pretty wise
Yeah.
advice because, first of all, if they say no to the Zoom call, maybe they're not even a serious buyer in the first place. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
like in the first year, it's really, really tempting to have that like take what you can get
Yeah.
mentality. And like I don't know, like because to be honest, I'm still in my first year. And sometimes I wonder like, okay, should I have that mentality of take what I can get? Should I walk away? So sometimes it can be tricky
Hard
to
balance, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I think you just have to go with like your gut and if you're showing someone 20 houses every weekend and like there's a problem with everything or they're not really serious with their offers either, then maybe it's not advantageous. Like I've had
Yeah.
clients before, I love them, but every house we saw, they wanted to go like substantially under ask when they
Mhm.
saw there's a huge line. And then honestly, I just like stopped because I'm like, they're not serious,
Yeah, you're not
obviously.
being realistic.
Right.
Like you're coming to me for my help and my expertise.
Yeah.
I always say, like, you go to your doctor when you don't feel well because, you want them to help you and figure out what's
Yeah.
wrong. You
You're
go
not
to your
questioning them.
dentist for toothache. You're not like questioning them. You let them do their thing. So if you're coming to me, let me do my thing.
Yeah.
I know the market. I know what strategies to use. I know how to get your offer accepted. So how about you listen to me? I'm the
Yeah.
expert in this
Yeah.
situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of clients, not to be mean, but a lot of clients need to realize that, that there's a lot that we know that they don't, and
Yeah.
a lot of them, can be know-it-alls and this and that, and sometimes agents can be know-it-all too. So we all have to, work together, and like you said, we are the ones who are licensed. So sometimes,
Yeah.
we know things that they don't, and obviously we have access to MLS, and all of that helps. So approximately how much per month do you spend into your business?
Mm.
into. I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking the past couple months.
You know what we were?
Yeah, we went very heavy, especially when we switched to Blue Island Homes. We were spending thousands, like no
Yeah.
joke, thousands a month. We were doing Zillow leads, we did Z Buyer, we did postcards, we did marketing materials, we did
Yeah. Like
like
ads.
probably
Yeah.
like 5,000 plus in marketing, like individually. It was absurd. So
Wow.
we've definitely taken a step back, especially because things are slowing down a little bit. And I felt like for me personally,
Yeah.
a lot of the business I was getting was coming from open houses and it was more organic. So why am I going to spend
Yeah.
$5,000 in hopes that somebody's going to call me off a postcard when I could just do 2 hours at an open house that, Jenny is letting me do and get a couple buyers from there.
Yeah. Especially like in this market, it's kind of hard. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely not bringing in the money from real estate. So for me, I'm like, I'm losing so much money. So I'm just gonna go, like Trudy said, the free organic ways, cold calling, open houses, maybe door-to-door marketing instead of investing dollars into something and hoping that it pans out. Look, when I start bringing in the money, of course, I'll give money back, but
Yeah.
I think when you don't have the money, you have to figure out free creative ways to do it.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, that's really, really a lot harder than it sounds, because pretty much everything takes money. And, I did notice that the agents who make the most tend to spend the most into the business. So,
Yeah.
I don't think I asked you this yet. Who do you use for cold calling?
Uh, what do you mean, like?
Like, do you use Google? Do you use RedX? Do you use Vulcan 7?
So we use Lofty. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
our like
CRM,
lead, like
yeah.
our CRM. But we also like buy lists. We do like foreclosure
Yeah.
lists,
I mean,
high
we call them a
equity.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We honestly usually call ourselves.
Yeah.
We do have like a dialer system that we use sometimes to like speed up the process when we're doing like 600-700 phone calls a day, obviously, just
Yeah.
to make it quicker. But we have no problem hopping on the phone,
Yeah.
ourselves and calling people. You just have to allocate time to it. It's time
Yeah.
consuming. But what we'll do is we'll usually sit in the conference room. It will
Hmm.
be like me, Danny, Ron. We'll go to 7-Eleven, get some snacks,
Yeah.
and we'll just kind of park up in here and hit the phones for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, cold calling, the thing about cold calling is every single call is like less than 1% chance of leading to a closing. So it's just so hard to have that like
It
motivation to
is.
like cold call every single time because, every single you sometimes it could take 1,000 calls or more before a closing. So it's so hard to get
It
that
is.
Yeah.
Most people
motivation in.
aren't nice when you call it.
Yeah,
That's
or
So,
another thing.
like the other day, it's like one day we had like 5 or 6 good, great phone calls.
yeah.
We were like, oh, let's do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
The next day we did like 1,000 phone calls. Literally not a single thing came from it. So,
Yeah.
you have your good days, your bad days, but you just have to stay dedicated and, just keep going.
Yeah, you have to stay positive, and that's the worst feeling, like doing 1,000 cold calls or whatever the number is, and then that not leading anywhere. It's the worst feeling because now it's like, oh, I could have been Ubering, I could have been doing this,
Yeah. Right.
doing
Right. You could
that.
have allocated your time
Yeah,
else.
it's the worst feeling, and that's one reason why 90% of people quit real estate because of stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you have to be thick-skinned and motivated. So we'll wrap this up. What is your long-term plan each? What is your long-term plan?
It's so funny because when people ask me that, I'm like, I am just trying to get through the day.
Hmm.
I don't know. My long-term plan, honestly, I always say I never even like equate it to like a job or work. I just want to be happy. I want to have a family. To me, success is not money, it's happiness, health.
Inner peace.
So I can't even tell you long term what I see myself doing professionally. I just know long term I'm gonna be financially set, I'm gonna be happy. That's what I want.
I love that. I feel like for me, definitely the same thing. I just want my family to be happy. I would love to take care of everybody. I do see myself maybe getting into the development aspect, like
Mm,
far, far, far down the line. I would love to build
that's
like
cool.
beautiful like homes and estates.
Nice.
That's something that's always interested me and I want to dabble in it. So maybe far, far, far down the road, but again, just be happy, healthy, and
Yeah.
just not be struggling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a pretty good plan. And I forgot to mention this before, but you two are in very, very good positions because you got licensed at a very young age. And the average age for the realtor, I looked it up. I think it's like 53 years old. And
Wow.
like pretty much every realtor says the same thing, which is I wish I got my license earlier. Like pretty much almost 95% of agents say I wish I got my license earlier. And you two are in very good positions because you got your license at a very young age, and you don't really have to say that. So you at least have that like that regret off your shoulders, which is great, and you have so much time to be
I
successful.
hope one day looking back, that's the regret we have and not the regret that we stayed.
Yeah, I mean, because you started in your early 20s, correct?
Like mid. Yeah, I was like what, 20,
It
22?
was
No,
like,
I was,
no, I was 26, you were like 23, 24.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
so that's still really young, you know. A lot of people start like I started at 34, you know, and
Yeah.
I wish I got my license earlier. Yeah, it's that you're in great positions. So and you should definitely be proud of yourselves for that. Do you have any tips for new agents?
I would say just authentically be yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Social media is the name of the game.
Yep.
Put yourself out there. Something Trina and I struggled with in the beginning is we were almost like embarrassed to post things, but now I really don't care. If someone's making fun of me, whatever, you probably weren't going to use me anyway. So just don't be afraid to be yourself and put your name out there.
Yeah. And I definitely think almost finding like a mentor and making sure that you're being guided and
Mhm.
learning. Just be a sponge when
Yeah.
you start. Soak everything up. Start as an executive assistant like myself. Start out as like an intern. Do
Mhm.
whatever, get your feet wet because there's so many people who don't know what they're doing in real estate.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be one of them. So put yourself ahead of the game, get your feet wet, get in the business, and just learn as much as you can. Never stop. You're never stop learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be a know-it-all. And also, like you two are also good examples of like pe ne needing to have a place and an environment that's friendly. You know,
Yeah.
that's another tip that I would give to
Mhm.
an age. Don't join a brokerage if you get that cold and
Yeah.
calculated vibes. Join a brokerage that makes you feel warm and comfortable and friendly and open, comfortable to ask questions. Where can people find you?
So for me personally, you can find me on Instagram. It's at _real estate. You can also find us on our podcast page. It's at Chaos Closing. We're also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. So all that fun stuff.
Yes. And my Instagram is Trudy_Losee, Losee.
Interesting. I didn't know you were on Apple Music and Spotify. That's amazing. But I'll
Yeah,
put
they're
all your
on literally Amazon platform, like
Yeah, anywhere where
everything.
you could get a podcast, we're on it.
Yeah. So just type chaos to like TO closing.
and you have to pay for that, right? For
Yeah, but it's very cheap.
Right. Okay. Because I did look into it. But anyway, it was great talking to you. It was great
It's so
meeting you.
nice
Yes,
I'll
talking
put
you
all
with
your info
you.
below. It was great. Have a good one. It was so nice.
you
You
as well.
too.
Have a
Bye.
good day. Take care. Bye.